Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, your job is an easy one. And the reason it's so easy is because Mr. Hughes did not prove his case.
Is that a fact?
I'm just getting warmed up.
You're wasting your time. The jury's going to find Todd Manning guilty.
Is that a fact?
Even his fiancée thinks he did it. She's supposed to be in love with the guy.
Blair never said that Todd was guilty.
She didn't have to. Did you see the look on her face when I asked her? The jury did too.
How you doing? You hanging in there?
Is it too late to change my mind?
About what?
I think I want to plead guilty.
Where is this coming from, Todd? Why would you want to plead guilty all of a sudden?
I had this dream last night. And, they had me in the electric chair. And I was just sitting there, I was just sitting strapped into that thing. I was just waiting for them to pull the switch on. And I knew it was all over. I knew my life was over. And I thought, what can I do? I have a minute. I have a minute left in my life, and I thought, what can I do to make that minute worthwhile? I can't do anything. I can't do anything. I can...
Okay. Todd. You know I'm going to do everything I can to make sure that doesn't happen, right? Okay.
Can you guarantee it? I think I want to take the deal that Hughes made. I think I'll take life. Take life.
Todd, I can talk to Hugh, I can see if the offer still stands, but I'm telling you, if we do this, that's it. There's no going back. You will never see Blair. Not on the outside, anyway.
She doesn't seem to want to have anything to do with me anyway.
Okay, you're never going to see your kids again either, Todd. You will spend the rest of your life in prison. That's best case scenario. And your kids are going to spend the rest of their lives believing that you killed that baby. Is that what you want?
But I'm innocent. I'm going to stick to that.
Are you sure?
I'm telling the truth. For once in my life, I'm telling the truth. Even if Blair doesn't believe me.
All rise. Superior Court of Lantano County is now in session. Judge Terrence McClellan presiding.
You may be seated.
What's wrong?
Oh, I didn't figure Blair would be here, but I thought Vicky would be for sure.
Good morning. Margaret couldn't be here today. Margaret Cochran cannot be here to tell you what happened that night of September 19th. And her son, Todd Jr., will never be born. But the evidence that has been gathered tells us the story of what really happened that night. You have heard testimony from both expert and character witnesses, some people who know Todd Manning, many people who never even met him. Some who possibly had an axe to grind, but most with no interest in harming the defendant at all. But every bit of that testimony leads to the same conclusion. Todd Manning murdered Margaret Cochran and his unborn son. So the DNA linked Manning not just to the paternity of the baby, but also to evidence found at the lake by Commissioner Bo Buchanan and Lieutenant John McBain. Now, the medical examiner testified that Margaret Cochran died by strangulation, most likely at the hands of a strong man. Mr. Manning's story about Margaret jumping into the lake and drowning is merely the fabrication of a desperate and guilty man trying to save his own life. Noted physician Dr. Spencer Truman testified that he treated Todd Manning previously for a stab wound inflicted by Margaret Cochran when Manning attempted to kill her once before. Victoria Davidson, sister of the defendant. She's one of the most respected names in this community. She stood up for her brother on countless occasions. She even tried to here in this courtroom. But there is no defense for what her brother has done. Ladies and gentlemen, Todd Manning was in a desperate situation. Some of you may understand him. Some of you may even sympathize with him. But you know that what he did was wrong. And not just morally, legally. He had the means, the motive, and the opportunity to commit these murders. So he did. When Todd Manning wrapped his hands around Margaret Cochran's throat and choked the life out of her, he knew she was pregnant. This was not done in the heat of the moment. The defendant meticulously plotted and executed the murder of his own flesh and blood. He knew he was killing an innocent baby. No matter what you might think of Miss Cochran, that baby did not deserve to die. It is now your responsibility to see that justice is served and make sure Todd Manning is found guilty as charged. Thank you.
Mr. Hughes did not prove Todd Manning guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. And so according to the law, you must find him not guilty. Mr. Hughes did his best. He did do his best to confuse you with a lot of circumstantial evidence, but that's all it is. He presented absolutely no concrete proof, not one single shred of evidence that directly links Todd Manning to this crime. Todd Manning is innocent. He is an innocent man, and he's defined only by his love for his family. And his life is in your hands. It is up to you to make sure that he is not punished for crimes he did not commit. It is up to you to see that justice is served. And it is up to you to end this nightmare that he and his family has suffered. Thank you.
You sure know how to work a jury. You had him right where you wanted him.
Yeah. Well, Hugh was good, too. He could go either way. And Blair not being here didn't help. Why did you just tell Denton that you murdered Margaret Cochran?
Not this mess by accident. I was set up, I'm sure of it.
Take Mr. Manning back to his cell. This court's adjourned.
All rise.
So what do we do now?
Well, there's nothing we can do but wait.
Stay tuned for scenes from the next One Life to Live.